isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to call the Mount Olive April 14, 2015 council meeting to order. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence for our men and women serving in the military. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Lisa, if you would read the Open Public Meetings Act.
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Here.
Mr. Mania?
Here.
Mrs. Labow? Here. Mr. Perkins?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Here.
Mr. Frente?
Here.
Mr. Nacastro?
Here. Okay, would like to call up Morris Habitat for Humanity presentation for Community Partner Award. If you would just go up to the podium, please, and state your name. Hi.
Hi, good evening. My name is Blair Schleicher Bravo, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Morris Habitat for Humanity. And with me is Liz DeCourcy, our Chief Operating Officer for Morris Habitat. And we are here to say thank you. Thank you to Mount Olive for your support. And, you know, I know sitting on, a municipal council, you hear a lot about potholes that aren't being filled, or maybe your electricity is out or something. But we want to recognize the wonderful partnership that we have had over the years with Mount Olive. And every year we have an annual meeting. And this year we had our annual meeting to celebrate our successes in 2014. And we nominated, or actually members of our staff and our key volunteers nominated Mount Olive for the Community Partner Award, which is a recognition that's given to a business, individual, corporation, organization, or municipality that has gone above and beyond to help Morris Habitat fulfill its mission in helping more families with their housing solutions to home ownership. And I have to tell you that we work with many, many municipalities, and 17 right here in the greater Morris County area, 14, I think, right here in Morris County. And most are, pretty helpful, but Mount Olive goes above and beyond. Everyone from your administrative staff, your municipal council, your planning, zoning boards. When we had our Blitz build here in 2013, I guess now it feels like, we got nothing but complete 100% support. Your residents, even the concerns, respect, I could go on, but I wanted you to know, and this is a little token of our appreciation for the municipality. So once again, thank you. We very much appreciate it, and our families appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. It's very heartwarming to hear your organization come and thank us, because we thank you for what you do, not only for the residents of Mount Olive, but for all of Morris County and the greater area that you serve. And we're always happy to help you in any way that we can. And we do appreciate your efforts on behalf of the residents of our township.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Perkins?
I just wanted to add that we have been working with Mount Olive since 2007. Catherine Natafalusi was also specifically named as an individual for this award, because I've been working with her personally for all these years. And although we're working on our third and fourth single-family home, so we don't have a huge amount of units in Mount Olive, it's a pleasure and it's an honor to work with her and the rest of your staff, and all, as Blair mentioned, for our Blitz build. Department of Health, the school system, everybody really pitched in, the police department, the EMS. It was really just a phenomenal collaboration. So we do thank you, because I know that comes from the top down, and we get all that support, so we do appreciate that. So thank you.
Mr. Perkins?
Can we do a quick picture?
Blair.
Oh, yes, and the media loves us. So it'll be, and we'll make sure it gets on Facebook with your mayor.
Joe, your council president.
You represent all of us.
Throwing gang signs. There we go.
gonna photobomb them? Let's jump up quick.
I'm standing up, they still can't see me.
Thank you. Now, we expect you all to come out and volunteer for that home and wife project.
Joe, if I may,
Blair?
Yes, you may, Mr. Mayor.
Whoa.
I want to thank you ladies
Oh,
for
Mr.
the
Perkins.
outstanding
Oh, no, that's all right. You've already run
presentation you
past
made
there.
before our planning board.
Thank you.
You had a tough night, but you did an outstanding job.
Thank you.
Blair, I know over the years, I used to work with McGrand Associates before I was lucky enough to retire this past year. I can tell you that having worked with pretty much all of the Habitat for Humanity's Patterson, where we did the first, what they call climate choice and lead homes, you guys have embraced the Energy Star program here. Mr. Wright was always interesting to work with. My wife's maiden name was Wright, so it was really good that we got along. Really thankful for what you guys do. You know, especially here in our community. I mean, it hits close to home. When you guys first came to Mount Olive, I remember that because I was already working, you know, in other communities. I said, boy, how come they're not up here? And when you guys finally did the first project, it is beautiful. And what you do for those underprivileged people is a blessing. And we are happy as a council and also the mayor and administration, the township, you have our support. And we really appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you.
One more thing, Joe.
Yes, Colleen, I'm sorry.
So I just wanted to say, I also want to thank you. I know that the residents around, when you did on Lozier Road, they were like really happy that your whole entire staff like embraced their concerns and walked them through it. And I thought that was fantastic because a lot of times it just sort of, everybody's like tunnel vision. You do the project, you don't, whatever, but it was really nice. So I do thank you very much for that. That was wonderful. Thank you.
It's working together, and that's what makes great communities.
Yep.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
we'll be here probably in late summer or early fall.
I'll be in South Carolina.
Yeah, he's leaving.
Oh, then you'll have to come up and vacation.
You have to come build down in South Carolina? Come build in South Carolina. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Executive session we need to go into, Mr. Well-
We're gonna do the executive session
Last.
at the other
Okay.
public meeting.
Okay. So discussion is notice of public hearing concerning petition for the rate increase by New Jersey American Water. Any,
I said we don't increase it. Oh, wait, it's not.
yes,
Two things. You skipped over the proclamation honoring the clerk's office.
That's gonna be
On
on the
the-
public meeting.
Oh, it is?
yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
With respect to American Water, it's the 23rd, it's at 7 PM, it's here, BPU is coming. American Water has made a rate increase request. We filed a opposition letter. I expect that there's going to be a large contingent here from the Country Oaks section. I plan on being here, speaking against the rate increase. I don't really think that we're going to be terribly successful. I don't know whether or not the BPU has ever denied, Ray, maybe you know.
No.
But the residents of the Country Oaks section who are paying, 3 times what it costs the rest of the residents in town with respect to the services that they get deserve our efforts on their behalf. And I would hope that every one of you will be here on the 23rd to speak out against the rate increase.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to echo the mayor's concerns. Going back, I guess, a few weeks ago, the mayor had asked me how successful we have been over the years with the petition letters. And of course, the BPU, unfortunately or fortunately, however you look at it, if one of the private investor-owned water utilities or gas or electric files a rate case filing, typically they'll ask for a certain percentile. After the rate council and everybody goes through their reviews and any public comments that typically come through, the rates are typically slashed. The increase is typically slashed, not by a tremendous amount. Nobody's going to get rich. If they go in for 15, a lot of times they'll end up with 10 or 11 or 9. It depends upon how the rate case finally goes through. It was important that we filed this petition, most importantly because of the concerns that the residents have voiced to, I think, most of us on council, as specifically the mayor and administration. with respect to the outrageous amount of money that Country Oaks is paying because of their sewer system. And their water rates, as you remember, they came before us. Their water rates are definitely higher than we would be able to provide as a municipality. You know that the Morris Chase development will be coming due to us to provide water. However, I was not early enough in my tenure here on the council to be able to get the ordinance passed to where we would absorb the sewer into the township. So they will continue to own that. So I think all of the residents in not only Country Oaks, but also in Morris Chase and Morris Hunt need to be notified that this is taking place, because their sewer is also a package unit. So they're going to have the same high rate increases, and it'd be best for those people to be able to get here, voice their concerns to American and the Board of Public Utilities. The mayor wrote a letter, which I thought was very succinct, about our concerns here in the township. It fell on deaf ears, as we all know. Now let the residents who all came to us thinking that we weren't helping them, let them now talk directly to the people that are in charge of the rates. So I anticipate myself, I will be here, and I hope the rest of the council, as the mayor's asked, that we all come here and show the support for our residents who are paying way too much for their sewer. Thank you, Mr. President.
Ms. Liddell?
I just want to join on to the comments as well, in that one of the things that the residents talked about was even just the service itself, not the service, the water, and it's just getting their billing, and they'd be canceled for like unknown reasons, and their questions weren't answered, and all that type of thing. It's like crazy, and they're saying with 17 cents a day is the increase they're saying, but they don't talk about how much they're already overpaying, and they're paying for the whole entire of all of New Jersey, everybody. So if we can at least get the rate, get it decreased to some degree, but most important, get the service, have them treat them better would be a huge help, if possible.
I don't think that's going to happen,
I
Colleen.
know.
Unfortunately, it's a meeting of the BPU, and the only issue that's really going to be on the table is the rate increase.
Great increase,
Yeah.
right.
It's
This is true.
Getting American Water to do anything is not going to be the subject of the
No,
discussion.
that's true.
Anything else? So, resolutions, we have 8 resolutions. Anyone have anything, comments, questions? Mr. Roman?
Sean, regarding the first resolution for the heaters, where exactly are these heaters located? And I'm assuming they're electrical?
No, they're a combination of gas and electrical, I believe. It's definitely the one over the combination of the police department and administration. The reason why you're seeing this is initially Reiner Corporation provided an estimate to public buildings and grounds, but they failed to take into account public works contractor registration prevailing wage when they were asked to comply with that statute. It's over 15444. They declined to provide a subsequent quote, and MCOR did, which is why you're seeing this today. But the one unit is definitely over the police department / administration. I'm not sure. I'd have to get back to you on where the second one is. Again, you know what? It's been a long challenge trying to get this system in this building up to snuff. We had the balancing contract, which is by and large successful, as was explained during budget, and I speak often with Ray on this matter as well. We're looking into doing probably a 5 to 7 year upgrade on a lot of your compressors and units around the building here. It's kind of like dollar cost averaging, like we do with the vehicles. It's a big building, and rather than having a big bill in the next year or two, you should do it over about 5 to 7 years. They're starting to get aged, and that one was already operating at 54% capacity, and then it went out this winter.
Okay.
Mr. Roman?
And then on the Hoodale Bridge, what do you anticipate the expected cost of that, seeing as how the other bids, I guess, did not come through? And you'll be negotiating directly, I assume?
I gotta be careful, because I don't want to say a number in public session.
Okay.
The initial, I will tell you this, the initial grant from the National Recreation Trails grant was for $25,000. We anticipate going over that amount. We awarded the bridge construction contract for $14,000. Now the balance is for material, which we are gonna keep costs down and purchase ourselves. It is in the neighborhood of that number, but it's not below that number.
No problem, thank you.
Does that help? Just because I'm going to negotiations on this tomorrow morning, so.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Yes, yes.
Yes, Mr. Amianda.
Regarding the floating dock and fishing, was environmental study done before we came to this conclusion?
No. But no, there was, you know, we speak regularly with our township engineer. There was no concern raised as to the need for one. You know, we have a aquatic consultant that examines Bud Lake every year, mainly for the weed control, and that's one of the contracts in front of you today. But there's, you know, that area is already a recreational area. There was no concern raised to us as to that this would, you know, in any way impact the lake. There's already boating and fishing on there.
When was the last study done? Because I understand it should be done every 2 years.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to defer to the mayor or maybe Ray or one of the other council members.
No, all I know is that every year we have the environmentalists come in and look at the weed situation. I don't imagine that what's being put into the lake is any different than we put into the lake every year in terms of the rafts that we put in for the swimming that we're not doing at this point. There shouldn't be any real change in terms of any environmental aspect of the lake that would have required us to do any additional studies.
Alex?
Can correct me if I'm wrong, those floating docks are temporary, correct?
Well, they'll be mounted to some steel poles in there, but they can be removed.
Yeah,
during the
they'll be
winter.
removed in the
Correct.
winter.
Yeah.
And if I recall, I mean, the state is the one that is mostly involved in testing the water for Bud Lake.
Well, we do the aquatic weed control and the algae control, but as far as, yeah, it's a state-controlled lake in other aspects, including, you know, so much so that if something happens on the lake, it's a state police jurisdiction. You know, we show, you know, just to hold the fort down, so to speak.
Colleen?
When we did the testing for the, when the beach was opened, they would test the water, I think it was every single week or every single day, and our testing requirements were actually stricter than the state. So we were checking all the time. I don't know that we're going to be checking it. We probably will, because not that we're not going to have swimmers there, but we will have some activity, so I don't know if we'll continue. But I would like to ask Mr. Amianda, what type of study were you looking for? Because we do have a study. They go through and check out the lake each year to see what we need for the curly pond and the other growth
Algae.
that we have, the algae that we're trying to get rid of. So they kind of give us an idea there, and that has an environmental impact on the lake. But as far as the floating dock, we already have docks there, and we have docks marinas there. They have the boats coming in and out. We have people have docks all on the other side. There's never a special requirement for a dock. So what kind of study were you thinking we should do?
Yeah, I'm concerned about the floating board or the floating dock. They may impact the flow of fresh water, because we are supposed to have a fresh water from this lake going out. So we would like to know that it is not going to impact it before we can sell it. Because I'm concerned about the fresh water, because it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on the lake, but just my time being there, we have so many natural we have a lot of springs in the lake, and where that's going to be, it's the, most of the water that comes through that section is actually storm water that comes down off of the highway, so it's not really, I don't think it's going to be a problem. But again, I'm not a professional, I don't really know, but I don't know that we absolutely need it, because we're not doing something different, or in addition, we're kind of like replacing what's there with a floating dock. Isn't that correct, Sean?
Yes.
We're taking the stationary dock that's already there, and we're going to that's actually going to be better for the flow of water, actually, right, Sean?
Yes.
The floating dock's going to be better than what we have there currently. And I know that what we had there currently, the snakes used to love to go, because we'd be there, we'd see the snakes would be coming out. So they'll have to find another place to live.
So we answered your question, Daniel. If we needed a study, it would have been done, I guess, when they do all the other stuff, but should be the same, less impact than what we have now.
No, I'm glad you answered it, but I still think that we should have a environmental study to come and tell us the impact of this floating dock and the pier on the lake.
Well,
and also,
Yeah, go ahead.
we would like to hear some opinion about, let's say during summer, if the kids can jump from, the pier or the dock into the lake, that can be also a safety issue. So we would like to hear some opinion about that.
Well, we've already, I can attest to the, we've gotten in touch with our risk manager as well as Fred's office, and Jeff may want to chime in on this as well, but there's to be posted there that it's a unsecured beach. Swimming is, we're not gonna put up the no swimming signs, but we're gonna certainly put up, in accord with our risk manager's advice of us, there's no swimming there, and entry into the waters at one's own risk. So it's gonna be very clear that they're not to jump off the piers there. If people do, it's gonna be plenty posted to the insurance satisfaction that any such actions, while we can't police that and control it and prevent it, it's certainly at a person's own risk. So we're not gonna encourage that, and if anything, discourage it. There's no more swimming at that location on the beach. In fact, it may be dangerous in other areas other than possible shallowness of depth, in that it is a fishing location. You know, there's certainly the likelihood of hooks or other type of things that can cause, you know, abrasions and cuts in the water. So it's certainly something we'd want discourage and not something we would encourage.
Yeah, I believe our administration, they looked into what needed to be done, I believe, Daniel, and I trust that they've done the research and all to approve it, and our attorney's involved, so I believe everything is should be in accordance to what needs to be done. I think we have everything, safety as far as everything else. So I think we've done what we can at this point, I believe, to secure everything is in order. But it's a good observation, and they explained, so, you know. Anything else on that you have, or? Nothing else? Okay. Any other thing on resolutions? Okay, old business? Seeing none, new business? Oh, Colleen. I'm
I
sorry.
have a new business. It's sort of an old business because it's an old problem. And of course, the mayor knows because he's replacing 3 tires this week. But I noticed when I was coming to Town Hall today, I went to make the left by the lake there onto Old Wolf Road. And right there, and I know that we're not responsible for it right there, but right there, when you go to make the turn, there are huge potholes. And I mean, I wasn't cutting anybody off the turn, but I certainly slowed down. I'm thinking, oh my God, if I slowed down, there's cars coming, I could have been hit.
Where is
because
this?
When you make the left, you know where the
that
last,
dangerous
the
intersection.
dangerous intersection by the lake, when you make the left there
How
by.
close to 46?
It's the connection of Old Wolf Road and 46,
We'll let the
that
state
seam.
know. Yeah, we'll let this, that's a state issue, we'll let the state.
I know that that's what we were gonna, as soon as I saw it, I said, this is a state issue, but on the other hand, I think we need to just fill those potholes because it's just so dangerous. I just don't wanna have somebody else have an accident. 'Cause like I said, as soon as I saw that hole, I was like, oh my God, and I slowed down and I was able to avoid it, but somebody, you know, stopped short and somebody's coming, I just don't want anybody T-boned, and I just would like if we could just possibly throw some patch in there. I mean, I know we can't be doing the state's job, but it's just too dangerous.
Yeah, it also creates liability if we start to do stuff.
Is that the
That is
problem?
the state
Well, then
responsibility.
can we get the
Here's what we're
state
gonna
on
do,
it?
here's what we're gonna do. You ready? We're gonna contact the state tomorrow.
Okay,
If it's not fixed by Friday, I'm gonna send out the DPW guys to fill the potholes, all right?
okay, thank you. Yeah, and just then tell them, look, we just, 2 months ago, we had a
Believe me,
fatality.
the state is fixing potholes all over,
They are.
Yes.
like we are, so.
Yeah, I see them all over.
It's just
Sean is
that
gonna
this is
send,
just so
Sean is
critical.
gonna send a very detailed
Sean.
letter to the
Thank you.
DOT that's going to say that it is a critical intersection, there's a high level of accidents that occur at that intersection
Thank
over the
you, yeah.
past few years, and it needs to be fixed ASAP.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I just, God bless you,
Bless
Lisa. Thank you. I know maybe I'm just being like overcautious. It just like really scared me tonight, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other new business? Seeing none, anyone from the public wish to be heard? Please just come up to the podium there, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name's Heather Birchfield. I'm the secretary of the Country Oaks Homeowners Association, and this is Maria Rankin, our treasurer. You've probably heard speak before you here several other members of our board. We are here representing the entire board tonight. We all couldn't be here, so bear with us. We're probably the 2 least up on this issue. But we had some questions from the board in preparation for next week's BPU hearing that we were hoping to discuss beforehand. There had been some discussion previously about looking into the possibility of Mount Olive purchasing the water system.
They're not interested.
You're not interested in
No,
it?
they're not interested.
Right.
They won't sell
We
it.
can't force them to sell, they're not interested in selling.
Okay.
That's a dead.
So that's sort of a dead
It's-
end.
It is a dead issue. And if I were them, I wouldn't want to sell either because they're raping you guys.
We're aware.
In terms of the rates. And so if they're making, they're an entity which is in business to make profit.
Right.
Mount Olive Township is not in the business of making profit. We're in the business of providing a service at the lowest rate possible. So you have to figure that New Jersey American makes money by having customers. They're not in the business of selling water systems or sewer systems. They are in the business of making as much profit as they can, as BPU will allow them.
Right. And I think, correct me or jump in on this, but I think in discussing that, something came out about there being a 99-year lease between Country Oaks and I guess them, that we are in that we can't get out of or something. I don't remember exactly what it's about.
That was also my understanding, that there was nothing we could do about it. We'd also like to be able to get a copy of that. We've been unable to do that.
Mayor, I think if I remember correctly, there was a 99-year franchise that was granted for both the water and the sewer to American. Henry Vogel, I think, was the attorney who represented.
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he represented. He represented the Country Oaks.
I was going to say, I think the name's on our bylaws.
When he came before the council, and the council had then awarded the water and sewer franchises to American.
Right.
At that point, I think it was applied, was beneath. So interestingly enough, as you look, and as the mayor has already said, American is not in the business of selling off their system. They're in the business of buying, all right? And the same with United Water, all right? Those are the same people. They go around and they buy systems. The amount of money would be phenomenal that they would want if we could possibly convince them to sell that. To recoup that money, your rates would be, again, phenomenal, because there's no way for us to blend that in. We have the same issue here with one of our package plants. That rate is slightly higher for those residents than the other sewer systems are within the town. Nowhere near what you guys are paying, but pretty close. All right, so, I mean, that's just it. You got a 99-year franchise agreement that the governing body at that point had granted for that development. So you and I will long be dust before that's done.
I guess we were wondering if there was any way to get we have like no records of it.
The Board of Public Utilities typically would have a copy of the franchise agreement. I'm not sure if the clerk.
We have ordinances.
You have the ordinance?
We have, I believe, 2 ordinances regarding the franchise, authorizing the franchise.
With the planning board, would they have copies of it?
Planning board would just have approved, they would just approve the water and sewer.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, they would keep it.
Okay. The other question, given the discussion about the purchasing of the water system being a dead end, I think the board, understands that and everything that, has been discussed regarding that. I think that the thought would be that we would hope that the town could help us in some other way, and the board was wondering if it would be possible to discuss some sort of water tax credit to our homeowners to offset the exorbitant costs that we're paying. If that would be something that we could discuss further with the town.
I think so.
I don't know that it would be
Legal.
legal,
I
number
don't think
one.
it's legal.
Number two, it would affect, it's a Pandora's box kind of issue. Just off the top of my head, it's the first that I've heard of it, so it's hard for me to respond to it. I don't know that it would be legal. I don't know that the people, and half the town is on wells, wouldn't also want to have some kind of tax credit associated with them. You're opening up an issue with respect to other services that certain areas might receive and want tax credits for those types of things. So I don't think that as a fiduciary obligation to the township that we could even entertain such a thing.
I think in sharing your sentiment that our efforts next week are going to be futile in getting the rates squashed, I think we are just hoping that we could sit down and talk again if there's anything we can do in this issue. I think we've uncovered that there are other communities in the state facing similar situations with New Jersey American Water, and we've discussed possibly reaching out to those communities and seeing if we can all band together. And I don't know if that would do anything, but we're obviously pursuing every possibility to pursue this further. And so I think we're just hoping, knowing that you guys purchasing the system isn't a viable option, is there any way, to, further get your assistance in fighting this? Because it is definitely the #1 concern of all of our homeowners, for sure.
I recognize that. I certainly am behind any effort with respect to New Jersey American Water. I directed Sean to reach out to them to see if they were interested in selling us the water system. I directed Sean to send a letter to BPU objecting to the most recent rate increase request that they've made. I will look at any type of proposition that you have in terms of helping alleviate the problems that you have in the municipality. From a municipal standpoint, perhaps there's an argument that could be made to the tax assessor that your property is less valued based upon the increase that you have in tax, rather than a rebate from the municipality. Maybe the way to attack it is to say, look, our house is not worth as much money as you say it is because we have to pay these high rates, therefore we can't get the assessed value, or we can't get a value for our house that we could otherwise get. The problem with that is that he's going to go back and take a look at sales data, comparable data. He's going to know what, and I assume that's what he's doing anyway, so that although you may be paying high prices for both your sewer and water, it doesn't really affect the value of what you could get for your house or what your house is worth. It may have already been factored in because your house may be worth $450,000 and they're selling for $430,000 because everyone looks at it and says, oh my God, who's going to pay $1,200, or $800 a quarter for sewer? But I'm willing to look at anything that you guys might think help you, but I say that.
We're running out of ideas.
I understand, and, I would, anybody up here who's got some idea in terms of how we can help the residents of Country Oaks within the bounds of what we do, because obviously we have an obligation to the entirety of the town. So you come up with something, I'll take a look at it, let me, think about what the pluses and the minuses are of whatever proposal that you have, and I'll speak bluntly to you, I can't do that, maybe that can work, I don't think that can work. I mean, I can't really envision, as somebody who's been involved in municipal government, I'm going to defer to Ray in a second, because Ray is ultimately familiar with the water and sewer industry. It's really not my bailiwick. But sitting up here, I know that when one part of town comes for something, such as what you're looking to do, it doesn't fly. I don't know how else to explain it. I know that's not the answer that you're looking for. I wish there were something that I could do within the bounds of what we are allowed to do under the law. Ray, do you have any
Mr.
idea?
Perkins, Mr. Perkins was it?
What I can tell you is you may or may not be successful in getting the rate squashed, the increase. That should not stop you or the rest of the residents, and it shouldn't stop you from reaching out to the people in Morris Chase, because they're in the same boat that you're in. All right, so don't just make it a Country Oaks, because if 60% of the people say they're going to show up, 10% are actually going to be here.
Right.
We all know that.
Yes.
So the more people you can get, the crux to the issue is, American has made the comments, and I know it, I worked for American for years. Their rate increases are typically statewide. Their packaged sewer plants are packaged. All right, so those are not running off of a great big sewage treatment plant. You kind of ride by and hold your nose, like the Musconetcong. So what they will always tell you is that there's an exorbitant amount of money that's necessitated to be spent maintaining those particular systems, and they're so spread out geographically, and they'll give you all this, and quite frankly, I've never bought it, even when I worked for them. What I can tell you is that you need to make the point that a 17% increase with absolutely zero improvements to your system, zero. So why would they be doing a statewide 17% increase to affect the residents of Country Oaks and Morris Chase who are on packaged plans when zero capital improvements have taken place on those systems? The bad service, again, that's something that you should talk about if you're having issues with service. Your water is a whole separate animal. I don't think the rates are high. you know, and definitely you may want to talk about that because it's a 17% across the board.
Right.
What improvements have you, as a resident of Mount Olive Township, benefited by over the past 4 years? Have you seen those people out there doing anything to those systems that would improve the reliability, the taste, the pressure, anything? Have you seen anything that's happened out there? So why do you need to be burdened with the 17% or whatever increase? It makes absolutely no sense. So the board will listen, and they will go back, and all that will be filed in. So that rate increase of 12%, 9%, 12, 17%, whatever it is, will more than likely be reduced. There's going to be a rate increase. But you guys need to get there to have American explain to you and the BPU why your rates are so much higher than every place else. And quite frankly, you can see what the rate is through our administration for Wyndham Point, and take a look at what the people, because that's a package plant, which is not that much different than the package plant that they have in Country Oaks. So why is that? Why is the township able to afford the residents of Mount Olive Township a rate that's less than American is charging you if you, quote unquote, have the benefit of being blended in with the entire state of New Jersey, which is supposedly to help offset your rates? How does that take place? Those are questions you should be asking.
Okay.
That's helpful, thank you.
Sean, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch base. You know, I've been speaking to Maria Colo a lot from Country Oaks, and I reached out to Fred's office to see legally what we could do in lieu of, you know, if we can't force them to sell it. Their suggestion, I thought it was a good one, and I wanted to add on to it, was next week's public comment to, you know, make sure we document that, keep them on the side, do a supportive resolution, a resolution of support on April 28th at our next meeting, and make sure that gets down to BPU. But more than that, and it's a concerning issue that happened at the state level in regard to public water utilities, is I'd like to forward that as well onto our elected officials. You know, recently, and Ray could probably speak again on this more than I can, but there was either a bill or was signed into law about making it easier for small water systems to be gobbled up by, you know, profit-oriented, larger, for-profit utilities. So that this case that we encounter here with one of our neighborhoods in town I fear are going to be more and more common throughout the state of New Jersey, and it's something I think we need to get our local legislators involved in, just, you know, aware of the breadth of the problem and how it's affecting, you know, everyday people.
Thank you. Mr. Roman?
Asked and answered.
Okay, Mr. Mania?
I think you should reach out for your state elected officials and involve them, and possibly if we can get them at the meeting on the 23rd here to give you support. Plus, I think if you tried to sell your home right now with that rate, you'd have a hard time trying to sell it. I think when you go to the tax assessor, you may bring that up, that if you tried to sell your home right now, you'd have a tough time doing it.
Well, I think that was one of our concerns. Homes are actually selling quite well in our neighborhood right now, and for, you know, nice prices. And we've discussed, like I said, teaming up with these other communities in the state and, you know, taking our story to the Star Ledger or somebody like that, but we don't want to hurt home sales in our neighborhood. So we've been hesitant to sort of go public with the story, because we are seeing very nice, you know, turnover in the neighborhood right now. Our homes are selling very quickly this time of year anyway. So
I myself will reach out for Senator Oraho to see if he could come to next week's
thank you, we
meeting.
appreciate that.
Ms.
We
Leba,
appreciate
you
your
have-
support.
We do.
It's helpful.
Wish we could do more.
It's been a very educational process for all of us, that's for sure.
And for us as well.
I have 2 points I wanted to, I know this is going to sound really, really petty, but we talk about all the time how they are a for-profit entity. So, you know, my question is, and when I was reading about, you know, getting prepared for tonight's meeting and for next week, shouldn't they be telling us like what their higher-ups, their executives make? I mean, I don't see any improvements going on in Country Oaks or other places, so where's all that money going? The whole thing is they keep talking about economy of scales. The more customers they have, the less money it's going to cost, but that doesn't happen. It keeps going up and up and up. So where is that money going? Mr. Perkins is absolutely correct. In the package plants, you know, those are the sewers systems that are right on site, and they do cost a lot more money to maintain than a system where it's being trucked out and you have your off-site treatment areas where they treat all of the solid waste. But the other question, so that's the one thing I'd like to know is there some way we can ask them well, how much are you paying your executives? You know, where's the money going, you know, that type of thing. And the other thing, I am a real estate agent, and I will tell you that and I don't mention Country Oaks, but I will say to my clients when they'll say, oh, public utilities, I'm like, wherever you purchase, when you see public utilities, you need to find out, is it a system that's owned and operated by the municipality, or is it for profit? Because that is extremely important. And you're absolutely right, your development is selling rapidly, and whether it's, you know, the prices are good, they're very, even our assessment and everything I've been watching, I have a couple of friends who ask me all the time, like, what's going on over there? But it is something, it is a concern. At some point, it is going to backfire, because I know I always tell my clients, just make sure you know. And it doesn't necessarily, like, for instance, in Mount Olive and Woodfield Estates, it's public sewer and public water there, but it's not owned and operated by Mount Olive, it's owned and operated by Hackettstown MUA. So it's just an education process, and it is a big concern. And I think maybe we should bring that up to them too. At some point, it's going to hurt.
Well, and I also think there's an element of education that needs to be considered, because I can tell you I did purchase my home in Country Oaks only 3 years ago, and we were looking at several homes in the development at the time, and all of the listings for the homes were different. Some of them said private water, some of them said public, and we weren't really sure what the story was. Now, obviously, it didn't make or break our decision to move to Mount Olive, but maybe if we had known a little bit more about what was really going on, we maybe would have thought twice about it. I don't know. But that was definitely a cost we did not factor in.
I have to tell you, from a real estate standpoint too, I mean, I brought it up at a couple of office meetings and just said that, you know, we really need to be a little clearer on this, because, you know, with our clients, it's a very important budgetary aspect of the whole entire process. And, you know, but when you go for your mortgage, they don't actually figure that in.
Right.
But if they did, in many cases, it would be a huge issue. So it's a big problem. And, well, I know I'll be there next week, but I don't know, Rob, what do you think about asking for salaries? Is that just too petty, or?
It's a publicly traded corporation. I don't think that they can hide their salaries.
So that's what I thought.
I don't think you're going anywhere with that.
Yeah, I know,
The BPU is going to be interested in all of the issues that Ray discussed, which is they're not entitled to the rate increase. They haven't done any improvements. Our rates are already too high. And the only way that you're ever going to defeat them is, as you said, it's massive numbers.
Yep.
Bring people, bond, you know, organize with other communities that have similar situations. And then at some point, I don't know that you're gonna ever get the real mass of people, because it's not like you're spending $25,000 a year. You know, it's a number that is unpalatable, but not ridiculously so that people are just gonna be up in arms and willing to travel from South Jersey to a BPU meeting in Mount Olive Township.
Right. Well, thank you for your time, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you. We'll see. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard?
Now we can beat on JCP&L.
Now we can beat up JCP.
Oh, that's why you look familiar.
Since we're talking, good evening, folks. Michael Bremsky, JCP&L.
Good
Just wanted to
evening.
stop by and give you a quick update on some of the things that we have going on this year. This year, we've announced our spending plan for this year, and our maintenance for this year is going to come to a total of about $276 million that we'll be spending in New Jersey this year. And Mount Olive is benefiting from that quite a bit this year. We'll be working on circuits out of the Netcong sub, the Chester sub, the Flanders sub, and actually 2 circuits out of the Netcong sub. So it's going to be, most of Mount Olive will have some improvement this year from our maintenance activities that we'll be working on. We're also trimming right now the Flanders sub. We'll be finishing that up. And we just recently finished the Flanders to Mount Arlington transmission corridor. And for those that are into YouTube, I would suggest you go and search and put in JCP&L aerial saw. And it's a new piece of equipment we used this year. I don't know if anybody saw it up in the air dangling from the helicopter, but saves about 50% of the cost of traditional tree trimming. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. We'll be trimming 3,400 miles of trees this year to a tune of $24 million. We've just recently broken ground on a $36 million project at our West Wharton substation. That is going to stabilize the voltage on our 230,000 volt system in North Jersey, so everyone will benefit. That should be up and running late fall, hopefully this year. We had a little difficulty with the Indiana bat, but we got that taken care of and got all the trees down before April 1st, so that's humming along. So we'll also be inspecting 28,000 utility poles and replace those that are necessary. And we'll be performing infrared scan on 280 circuits. We use a specialized camera that looks for hot spots as they move along, and we'll actually physically be inspecting another 283 circuits. Our engineers go out and walk those circuits and make recommendations for improvements. So don't want to take up too much of your time. You've got a long agenda, but if you have any questions, concerns, I'll be more than happy to answer
Mr.
them.
Perkins?
Hey, but so far, you guys are doing a great job.
We're
You
doing
know,
our best.
I mean, after Sandy, I bought a $2,000 generator. I haven't had to use it yet.
Well, you're the one that helped.
But in the spirit of the previous folks who were up here.
Correct.
Of course, I have to ask, so how much of this is going into your next rate case filing, and what do you see as the next rate increase percentile?
Well, we just had a rate decrease, so
Yeah, I know.
about a month and a half ago.
But now that you're doing all this other good stuff, you're going to throw that into the next rate case.
It
Any-
becomes part of our normal rate base that we put in, and that would become part of the test year as we move forward.
Move forward.
And I believe we have to come in 2017. We've been directed
Yeah.
to come back in. And again, they'll look at it to see, how much we're earning as always, and make recommendations. But yeah, it went down about 1.5% a month and a half ago.
That was
so.
nice.
Mr. Mayor?
Just wanted to thank you on a side note for the participation in Mount Olive activities that
Oh,
JCP
it's our
does.
pleasure.
Much
It's
appreciated, not taken for granted.
Great town, great people, and it's a pleasure that we can give back a little bit.
Thank you.
Sean?
Yeah, I've sung Mike's praises before, and prior to him, his predecessor, John Anderson. And the lessons that JCP now learned, as we all did, on preparedness and coming out of Sandy and communications, it's a completely different organization. Not that they were bad before, just the level of communication wasn't there. And it's been lights out. It's been a pleasure since Sandy, and we are never, ever more than a click away from notification. A lot of times, we get the notification well before something happens. So I want to praise the organization and Mike in particular. I like working with him, and it's been very pleasurable since those dark days of Hurricane Sandy.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I also wanted to thank you very much, and I love how you come to the meetings and, put us, give us some updates on
Sure,
what's going
absolutely.
on. It's
Captive
really,
audience, so it's easier to address
Yeah.
you all at once and try to track you all down separately. So.
But it's really good, because then when there is an issue somewhere and the residents call us, we can say, hey, we have our representative, he comes
Yep.
and keeps us in touch.
And-
Now, I also wanted to just ask you a quick question. When you inspect the telephone poles, do they tag them on the date of the inspection?
Yes.
Do they still do that? Okay,
Yes.
good.
We use a third party called Osmos, and you'll see a silver tag with the last date of inspection on it. They're
the
done every
reason-
10 years.
The reason why I asked that is when we did have, with Sandy's situation, I'll never forget when different areas started getting power back, and one of the areas was Dunkin' Donuts, I think it was in Secasana, I was in there, and one of the, all those, from all different states, the workers were coming to help, and there was a couple guys that were in there, and I thanked them for coming up. They were from out of the area, they were talking,
Right.
and I, bought them coffee and all that, and they were telling us, I said, I gotta tell you something, because one thing that they were shocked about was that the telephone poles, so many of them that had fallen down, hadn't been inspected in years.
I can only
And-
speak for JCP&L.
Right.
About 50% of the poles are owned by another entity.
Yeah, and, okay, so.
And I don't know their inspection.
And so they were telling me that they always have to be tagged, and that's
Right.
why I asked that question, is to make sure that they're tagged
Our
for the
poles will have
inspection.
those tags,
Okay, cool. And so you're saying that the 50% are owned by somebody else? How?
give or take.
Are they inspected by?
I don't know their inspection criteria.
So how do we find
The
out?
answer is no. They're not as good as JCP.
Well, that's obvious, because those are probably most of the ones that fell down, but how do we regulate that? I mean.
It's kind of like dealing with the New Jersey American Water.
Well, I guess that's gonna be an argument for another day. Let's hope that in Mount Olive, you guys own all of our telephone poles.
You don't. We don't.
Yeah.
Had United in here also.
There's an easy way to tell. There should be a identifier tag. If there's an NJ or a JC, that's a
Right.
Jersey Central pole. If there's a BT, that's the other utility.
Okay. Good to know. See,
I won't say which one that is,
Spill the beans.
See, we learned
but that's the trick on
always learn
identifying.
something new all the time. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, folks, and have a good
Thank you very
evening.
much.
Thank you, you too.
Anyone else from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. Can we move to executive session, Mr. Perkins?
No, the executive session's at the end of the public meeting.
Oh, at the end of the public, not this one. Okay. I'm all confused.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oh,
Okay, we're gonna open the public meeting. Lisa, would you read the Public Meetings Act?
Unless you want to go into executive session. I mean, there is nobody else here, and
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. We can do it at the beginning.
Yeah, we could do it right now.
We already closed the other meeting, so
We
we have
closed
to
the other
open the
meeting.
next meeting.
Yep.
Open, close, open.
a motion to go into executive session?
Yeah, a motion to go in executive session.
I have a question. Don't we have to start the public meeting before we do that?
Yep.
Because you have to read the Open Publics Meeting Act, and then we can go into executive session.
So we had open.
You've already closed the workshop.
All right,
We
so
already
we,
closed the workshop,
We
so-
are we are not in a meeting.
We're not
we're in
voting
limbo,
right now.
okay.
We're in
So we're
nothing
opening
right
the
now.
public meeting right now, and Lisa, can you read the Open Public Meetings Act?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Here.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Here,
Mr. Perkins?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Here.
Mr. Frente?
Here.
Mr. Nacastro?
Here. Okay, we have a motion to go into executive session.
so moved.
Wrong.
Wrong?
Wrong.
That's wrong.
In
Right.
accordance with Section 7 and 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, I make a motion that we move into executive session to discuss health insurance and negotiations, noting that the minutes of those meetings will be made available at the conclusion of the matters.
Second.
Roll call? Do we need roll call? All right.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. Okay,
Staying here, going out? What is it?
we're staying here, I guess?
We're staying here.
We're staying here.
There is no place to go anymore.
That's right. There's no room anymore.
Yeah, that's
Thought
filled.
we
That
could go
room.
down to planning department pretty soon.
That room is filled.
Yeah.
All right, WR&J, you gotta leave the room.
And then the camera goes off and all that good stuff.
That's it.
Of previous meetings.
Second?
Roll call, any discussion? No? Roll call, please.
Mr. Almeida?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Staying.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. We have a total of 16 correspondence. Anyone have any comments, questions on correspondence? Seeing none, do we have a motion to accept? No, we don't need that, that's right, it's not the correspondence. Okay.
Did we,
What's
Mr.
that?
President, did we get a copy of this letter, Sean, April 6th, from American Water?
Just the rate increase one?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was forwarded,
that was the last letter that we sent through,
yes,
right? Okay.
yeah, correct.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You got it. Anything else? Nope. Okay, moving on, I hope, wait a second.
We're
I
going
hope-
to table this.
Oh, we're gonna
We just need
table
a motion to table it.
the first one?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a motion to table ordinance number 11?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
roll call?
Mr. Almeida?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. Okay, open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 13-2015, ordinance reappropriating $21,050 proceeds of obligations not needed for their original purpose in order to provide for various improvements to Turkey Brook Park in and by the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris, New Jersey. Mr. Mania.
Move for approval.
That's me, yes.
Ordinance 13, 2015.
I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 13-2015.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Almeida?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. Ordinance number 13-2015 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish the notice of adoption as required by law. I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 14-2015, an ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 249, Vehicles for Hire, Seeing none from the public, close to the public. Mr. Perkins.
Yes, Mr. President, I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 14-2015.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Mr. Roman.
Sean, are you, does this have any effect on services like Uber and Lyft? Are we, Jeff, do you have any, those, Uber, you could, get a car service through your phone?
I'm not sure. I would imagine it would if they're considered a taxi. No?
Are they considered a taxi?
Depends what they're considered.
They are.
I mean, if it's
a
a
service.
service,
licensed
it's
as
still a
taxis.
vehicle for hire.
It's a car service. You have to pay for it.
Right, 'cause, I mean, that, I would like to see at least an opinion from council from our council, whether services like Uber and Lyft would fall under this ordinance and whether they would be barred from, service in the township.
So what do we do with this?
Jeff is gonna look into it.
So
You
we
can,
have
you
to-
can continue it if
We
you're
can
not
continue it to
ready.
next meeting,
Yeah,
if we would like.
somebody make a motion to
We have a
continue.
motion?
I make a motion that we continue this, ordinance to the next meeting.
Do we have a second? Any discussion?
I just have a
Yes,
question.
Ms. Leyva.
Since it says on here, taxi cabs and limousines, vehicles for hire, if they are included in, if they are considered the same, we should probably just change that wording because it's any vehicles for hire at that point.
Could be. Jeff will find that out. We need a roll call.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mrs. Labow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. We have 8 consent resolutions. Anyone, public portion, anyone from the public? Seeing none. Mr. Roman?
Yeah, I move for consent resolutions 1 through 8.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mrs. Labow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. We have one motion, bill list. Mr. Ferrante, would you move the bill list?
Sure, I'd like to move the bill list.
Second.
Any discussion? None? Roll call?
Mr. Amianda?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Mrs. Labow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes. Mayor, I believe you have a proclamation honoring the Municipal Clerk Week.
Yes, from the Office of the Mayor, honoring Municipal Clerks Week, May 3rd through 9th, 2015. Whereas the Office of the Municipal Clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the Office of the Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the Office of the Municipal Clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies and agencies of government and other levels, and whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, and whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, and whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meeting of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk, now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Robert Greenbaum, Mayor of Mount Olive Township, do hereby proclaim the week of May 3rd through 9th, 2015 as Municipal Clerks Week in the Township of Mount Olive, signed, sealed at the Mount Olive Township Municipal Building by Robert Greenbaum, Mayor. You would pass this down to the clerk. Perhaps you want to put it up on the wall in the clerk's office.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much appreciated, your efforts over the years,
Thank
most of the time.
Do we have any old business? Let's see, Mr. Amianda.
Mr. President, my
Clerk's office, good.
old business concerns a resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive supporting the New Jersey Department of Transportation, Route 46, and Smithtown Road. I don't know, I'm sure all the council members remember it. It was about making the left turn. But it is now almost 3 months, and I don't see any sign there that something is being done. And okay, and let me finish.
Go ahead.
It's almost 3 months. I don't see any something has been is being done there. But also, we remember that there was an accident there after we had passed this resolution, and so I was just wondering if you can follow up to know what the state is doing, to try to expedite to put our consent approval on that.
Okay. Mr. Canning?
Yeah, DOT had initially indicated they would start resurfacing from Sand Shore to Sand Shore along Route 46, including Smithtown. It would be at best mid to late summer of 2015, with more than likely stretching through May of 2016. So they were optimistic that funding may have done it this summer, but that would be in a perfect world. So they haven't indicated anything since we sent it back to them. They haven't indicated any type of reconsideration either in light of the motor vehicle accident there. The last correspondence they kind of gave to us when we had indicated our displeasure as to we wanted a broader scope was basically, listen, is the best you're going to do. Otherwise, they're going to go elsewhere with their improvements. And that's not the answer, I want it either. But
Right. So
that's again, like the mayor
we
said,
just wait.
DOT. But I would anticipate at best July to August of this summer, possibly April to May of next year.
Thank you. That will be too long.
That's the state, right?
NJDOT, no job
Yep.
done on time.
Any other old business? Any new business? Any legal matters?
Nothing to report tonight.
Council reports, Mr. Amianda, anything from the Board of Ed?
Yes, Mr. President. Mount Olive Board of Education met yesterday, April 13, 2015, at 6:30 p.m. at the board office. Dr. Larry Reynolds, the superintendent of schools, reviewed improved achievement district goals and the process of evaluating staff for success. In order to do that, each school is asked to set its goals and plans to achieve those goals. Dr. Reynolds told the board and the public that our schools are doing very well. As required by law, Dr. Reynolds gave the board and the public his semi-annual school report on violence and violations, including harassment, intimidation, bullying, vandalism, alcohol, and other drugs. The report included the description of school responses and remedies to violence and violations. The board also discussed personnel matters that included approval of the retirement of building and ground supervisor, hiring process of coaches, and school redistricting. And that was the end of the points.
Thank you. Mr. Ferrante, anything on your environmental, lake, or library?
No, the library is meeting tonight, so.
Ms. Labow, anything on seniors, economic, TNR, MOTV?
MOTV, not yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
The resolution,
They're
the
still working.
28th, we'll have the new resolution. And seniors know, Economic Development Committee know, but I do have a story to tell you guys about the TNR. There was a cat that had been trapped by the ACL, was taken by the TNR. The microchip was read. The cat was 10 years old, and they saw the owner from 10 years ago. They were trying to track him down to see if the cat was lost. And the cat was actually found over on Country Oaks Development. So lo and behold, it just so happened my daughter-in-law to be was friends with the guy who was on the chip originally from 10 years ago. So she contacted him. He says, no, I didn't lose a cat. They brought the cat Saturday to Adoption Day over at Tractor Supply. Just as it was almost over with, they were getting ready to pack up, this woman came in, she went over, looked at the cats, and she started shaking. She goes, oh my God, that's my cat. And it turned out it was her cat. She had changed the name. Her brother had given it to her. She lived over on Mount Hope Road. The cat was lost in Country Oaks, so Country Oaks was fired, so it was a happy ending. And Frank, our ACO, he said, you know, they try really hard to try. It's always nice to know when a pet is matched up with the owners. It is really nice. But the key thing is people should really update your chips so that when you try to find them, you do find the correct owner. Mount Pleasant was where the facility where the cat was originally adopted from, and they had named it Bella, but the owner named it Millie. So when the guy says, well, did you lose a cat named Bella? Well, no. 10 years ago, it was one of those crazy
Millie
things.
wasn't Millie.
No, Millie wasn't
No,
Millie.
Millie wasn't Millie.
So the point is the main reason I'm bringing it up is because anybody watching this tape, reading the minutes, if you know, when you
Don't change your cat's name.
don't change your cat's name, but if you have a chip, update it, and you know, and just that, you know, it does take a lot to try and reunite and everybody. So it was this whole thing went on for like 2 weeks, and then to come to find out the owner actually just happened to walk into Tractor Supply and saw her cat. So that's it.
That's some story.
It's some story.
Yeah.
Mr. Roman.
I love those TNR stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a happy reunion.
Absolutely.
I was at the garage sale and I saw this piece of equipment for the TNR, and all of a sudden it came to me that was something someone took out of my garage a while ago.
Really.
Bill Mayer's lawnmower was there for sale.
Mr. Roman, do you have
Glasses
anything?
on the other day I saw. Happy birthday.
On open space, I have nothing. On recreation, unfortunately, I missed the last meeting because I was away on a conference. And this Saturday, we have opening day ceremonies
Oh, that's
for
right.
baseball.
Yeah, that's right.
Unfortunately, I will be attending another conference, so I will not be able to attend. So I am requesting that my pitch that I would normally throw out be thrown out by Ms. Laybell, because I figure she needs at least 2 opportunities to get that ball over the plate.
I have a comment to make. I will have to say that every single time I have thrown the best pitch out of anybody and the best football.
And I will tell you that you do throw a whole lot better than our current president. And that's it for me.
I had to give the mayor pointers the last time.
Health Department meets tomorrow evening. Mr. Maney, anything from legislative or planning?
Planning board, nothing much going on. We had 2 variances for rear yard setbacks, and that was it. There's a meeting this Thursday. I can't attend because the variances involved I can't vote on.
Anyone from the public wish to be heard? See none? Close to the public. Yes, Mr.
You kind of skipped over
Oh, I did.
administrative matters.
You know, I did. I didn't see
I
the
know that Sean
administrative.
prepared all day.
I did go
So
over
before I'm
that.
going to let Sean speak, I have a couple of things. As Alex said, opening day for baseball is April 18th. They said they're meeting at CMS at like 9. And if you just want to come to the ceremony, they said 9:30.
9:30.
Looks like rain, according to my forecasting tool. So I don't know whether or not they're going to have it, but tomorrow at 10 o'clock at the community garden, there is an event, if you can make it. This week, the Public Works Department is having large item pickup, April 20th to the 24th. They put out a couple things and they'll pick it up
How big?
without stickers. It's with your regular garbage day. April 22nd, another event at the Community Gardens for Earth Day, 4 to 5:30. And then the first of our major events this year, Saturday, April 25th, is our Color Run Do or Die. It's 5K. I assume you're going to do it this year?
Yeah,
Okay, good, because I know you're a runner, right?
if I would be awake.
Yeah, yeah, that's at 10 o'clock. If not, if you want me to stop by your house and pick you up, I can. That's at 10 o'clock. What do you have, Sean?
Auto refuse, it's going well. Chester's been very satisfied with our service. The neat thing is, we're starting to get visits from other organizations around the county now. Morris MUA is planning a trip up here, taking a look at our auto refuse system. We've been contacted by 2 other municipalities considering the switch over. So it's nice. We've saved the money in the utility, and we've kind of become a leader and a model with the towns that want to keep the sanitation, which I see a lot of value in keeping that service and not outsourcing it. But there's a better way of doing it, and people starting to look towards the way we're doing it, which is good. Street sweeping, we have 3 sweepers out there. I met with Director Quinn again today. They've been out for a couple of weeks. We anticipate having the whole town completed by mid-May, which is, again, that's better than what we've done the last 2 years. So I'm very satisfied with the progress. It's been a priority. Dan Jordan Fields, council, remember last fall we had to have the electrical contractor in there. The 7 weeks of Arctic winter didn't help, but I'm happy to say that we are done down there. The contractor finished up in accord with the electrical engineer specifications. The field's been open for play since last weekend, so we're good to go. And the last thing is the field lighting bids. They are out now. There's going to be an MOU on for April 28th for Turkey Brook Fields. We can do another MOU with baseball. They'd like to see some lighting on some of their baseball fields. Those bids are currently out. We anticipate award either on April 28th or on May 12th. That's all I have.
Yes.
One other item, I just would be remiss if I didn't thank Jeff's firm, Dorsey and Semero, for helping out with the senior picnic that's coming up. We do appreciate the fact that you give back to the municipality, as always. Please pass that along to the powers that be.
Thank you. Anything else? Council comments? Mr. Amianda, anything?
No.
Mania? Mr. Mania?
Yeah, I attended a breakfast on Sunday morning, as you
Oh, that's
did.
right. Yes, we were. That's right.
And it was the 80th anniversary of the Republican Party in Morris County. And they honored Senator Dorsey, and it was good to see him. It was a very, very nice affair.
Yes, it was. Ms. Laybaum?